السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أوفوا بالعقود. أحلت لكم بهيمة الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم غير محل الصيد وأنتم حرم. إن الله يحكم ما يريد. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تحلوا شعائر الله ولا الشهر الحرام ولا الهدي ولا القلائد ولا آمين البيت الحرام يبتغون فضلا من ربهم ورضوانا. وإذا حللتم فاصطادوا ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم أن صدوكم عن المسجد الحرام أن تعتدوا. وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان واتقوا الله إن الله شديد العقاب. صدق الله العظيم. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, peace and blessings be upon His Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, upon his family members, his companions, and the righteous servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala till the end of time. It is indeed a great blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given me, you and all of us the ability and the strength to fast during the daytime and then pray our obligatory prayers and give in charity and do acts of righteousness. Alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah. Now we are about to end the day, inshallah, day 5 of our fasting. And before we get to that point, I just want to share a summary what we are going to be reading tonight in our Taraweeh prayers. So we'll start with the ayahs of Surah An-Nisa, inshallah. So we'll start with ayah number 148, and then we will finish Surah An-Nisa till ayah number 176, inshallah. So the things that we didn't cover yesterday, first and foremost, I'll just do the gist, of course. And the first thing that we will talk about today, يَسْأَلُكَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ أَن تُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْهِمْ كِتَابًا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. So it is the people of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, how they turned away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how they turned away from the teachings of their messenger Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So their disobedience, ثُمَّ اتَّخَذُوا الْعِجْلَ مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, how they started worshipping a calf. You know, they were expecting a book, and when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam went to get the book, and before he would come back, they have started worshipping a calf made out of a gold. So this is the thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, that these are the people who disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. And first it was that to accuse the mother of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam of a major sin, and then taking the life of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, claiming that we have taken the life of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, or we have killed him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. He was neither killed nor was crucified. وَمَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. But it was a person who was similar to him. He was crucified by the then people. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about it, that how we have raised him up. بَرَّفَعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has lifted him up, and inshallah he will come back again. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, just to remind the people of the book, whether it be Yahud and whether it be Nasara, as well as to the believers, to the Muslims, that what do we believe in, alright? So it is the one same message from Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. كَمَا أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى نُوحٍ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ مِن بَعْدِ. Whatever has been revealed upon Sayyidina Adam and Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, so it is the same exact message till the day of judgment. No new thing is going to come, and nothing other stuff is going to happen. All of them are going to tell the people that obey Allah, obey His messenger, whoever the messenger of that time. And after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is to believe in all the prophets from Sayyidina Adam to Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about قَدْ جَاءَكُمُ الرَّسُولُ بِالْحَقِّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فآمنوا خيرا لكم. So the arrival of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, the arrival of the noble Quran, Ya ayyuhan nas qad ja'akum burhanun min rabbikum. So both of these things have come to you, O people. Now where are you going? To the mankind. The mankind is addressed, Ya ayyuhan nas, in both of these ayahs. Ya ayyuhan nas qad ja'akum ar-rasul, and Ya ayyuhan nas qad ja'akum burhanun min rabbikum wa anzalna ilaykum nuran mubina. So the people were addressed that Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam has come, the noble Quran has come. Now don't go anywhere else for guidance. If you really want to please Allah, and you really want to be a true believer, then it means you have to obey Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and obey the Quran, inshallah. And the surah ends with an ayah about kalala, somebody, it's about inheritance. Alright, so we did talk about inheritance yesterday, inshallah. So let's move on. Today's surah, inshallah, is Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ma'idah means dastarkhan or food mat, and this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. Because when the people of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, this is a Madani surah revealed in Madinatul Munawwarah, has 120 ayat in it, 16 ruku' in it. So this surah is about إِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ هَلْ يَسْتَطِيعُ رَبُّكَ أَن يُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْنَا مَائِدَةً مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ. So they were asking Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam to strengthen their iman, for asking or to believe in him, to ask him even more miracles from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Though there were many
miracles that he showed to them, whether it be giving life to a bird, whether it be giving life to a dead person, whether it be curing a person who's suffering illness and sickness. So with all these miracles, they were not happy, they wanted something more. And the next thing that they wanted is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to descend food from the heaven. So this surah is about, the ma'idah means food mat or food. Alright, so we all say, bring the ma'idah, alright. So bring the food, bring the dastarkhan, food mat, inshallah, the spread, table spread. So this is what happened. Now this surah, according to Mufassirin, they are saying that this surah will reveal in different proportions. It was revealed during the time of Hajjat al-Wada', one of the ayahs that is mostly recited, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. It was revealed in the ground, in the plains of Arafat, when Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam was sitting on his camel, she-camel, Ghadaba, and then he was sitting on it, and when the camel started feeling that she was feeling heavy because of the gravity, and whenever the revelation would come, Nabi alayhi salatu himself would get, sweaty. Alright, so because it was very intense when it would come. So at that time, Nabi alayhi salatu got off of the camel, and then he stood on Jabal Rahmat, of course. That was the place, that's where he delivered the final sermon, and that's where this ayah was revealed. Then the Mufassirin also saying that some other occasions on which this surah, some of the ayat were revealed, it was during the time of 6th Hijrah. That is the time when Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had a dream that he's doing the Umrah, he's performing Umrah or Tawaf of Kaaba al-Musharrafah. So he told this dream to his companions, and they said, let's go. So in the 6th after Hijrah, that was the time that these some of the ayahs of the noble Quran revealed then. Then there is another incident that these ayahs were revealed, some of the ayahs of this noble surah were revealed in the 8th Hijrah, which is the time of the conquest of Makkah. So Hudaybiyah treaty, and then this, the 8th of conquest of Makkah, and the 10th of after Hijrah, that is the day when Rasulullah ﷺ performed Hajj. So in different proportions, with different dealings, this surah was revealed. Mufassirin also say, according to Ruh al-Ma'ani, they are saying that Surah al-Baqarah and Surah al-Imran, they are a continuation of one another. They are talking about basic stuff like Aqidah, Iman, faith, and then oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Tawheed, Risala, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the day of judgment, and talaq, like basic living things that were discussed. Now, think about it, it's been more than 19 years now in Madinatul Munawwarah. So there are 13 years of Makkah and 6 years of Madinatul Munawwarah. So add this together, so it's been 19 years that the Muslims have been practicing Islam now. So at this time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals some more injunctions, because there are people who are accepting Islam, from people of the book, from Yahud, from Nasara, and then all of them are coming to the fold of Islam. Now the Muslim community is getting bigger and spreading, so that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had to reveal some rules and some laws regarding internal and external affairs. How do you rule your local community? and how do you do amongst the Muslims community, and then how would you deal with external affairs, whether it be Yahud, whether it be Nasara, or whether it be a different country. Alright, so all these affairs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in these in this surah, inshallah. And then we talked about yesterday as well that Surah An-Nisa talks about mutual relationships, husband and wife, how to fulfill the rights of husband, how to fulfill the rights of spouse, and then how to fulfill the rights of people around you. وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Fulfilling the rights of Allah, rights of parents, rights of poor, needy, relatives, and the neighbors, and then people who are under you, which means that they're subordinate to you. So how would you deal with these people? In this surah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about fulfilling the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfilling your covenant, your agreement. Alright, so mutual relationship that you have with other people, and then you have transaction with other people. So this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala emphasized in this beautiful surah by saying, أَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, O you who believe, أَوْفُوا بِالْعُقُودِ, fulfill your promises. Whatever contract that you may have with an individual, with a business, with an entity, with a country, make sure that you fulfill your promises. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not grant a victory to a person, to a community, to a society, to a country, unless and until they abide by the rules that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained them on the face of this earth. And the next, another name of the surah is also Surah Uqud, according to Bahr al-Muhit. Tafsir Bahr al-Muhit mentions that that's another name of the surah. As I mentioned earlier, why the surah was named as Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ma'idah means something to eat. Alright, and then people were requesting Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam that to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to descend food from the heaven, and then of course the prayer was granted. According to all the Mufassirin, they are saying that they were given bread and they were given meat, but they were told at the same time, whatever is being revealed today, make sure that you eat all of it and do not keep it for next day. Alright, of course they didn't have fridge and refrigerator or freezers, so they were told not to keep for next day, because it was to test the iman and tawakkul of people, how they would do it. So of course they failed, and they could not fulfill the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and could not fulfill the promise of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. So what happens in return? That people were turned into monkeys, and then people turn into khinzir, which is swine. And few other ayahs Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, as I said earlier, that mu'ahidat, having contracts with other people. One contract, there are different types of contract or contracts. One contract that you and I have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of us, every single human being on the face of this earth, when they were in alam arwah, when our souls were gathered together, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked them, Alastu bi rabbikum, and all of them said, who's your Lord? And Allah, this question was asked, and we said, Qalu bala wa rabbina. Who is our Lord? No one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only one subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is my covenant, my agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we truly believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we believe in Him, we obey Him, and then we abide by what is halal, that is mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His noble Quran, and what is haram, we abstain from it. So this is something that is our agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, an agreement with oneself, that man, I am truly obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how can I commit this sin? How can I eat pork, and how can I drink alcohol? Or there's no way. So one would commit to himself that I will never ever do any haram amal in my life ever. So this is that the person is committing to himself. Or somebody says, I will lose weight. This is a commitment to oneself. Alright, nobody is telling nobody else. Alright, it's nobody's business. So it's one person's business with himself. So this is a person who makes a vow to himself. Suppose he's sick, person says, oh, if I get better, then I'll fast for 2 days. If a person says, if I get better, I'll give $5 in charity if I get better, different things, or I'll feed 5 people or 10 people. So this is a vow that the person makes to himself, it's with nobody else. So one has to fulfill this vow. Alright, if the person is not fulfilling, then of course one has to pay an expiation for that action. The third type of mu'ahida, contract, is the contract that we make with one another. So if I have a dealing or buying a car or selling a car or doing any kind of a transaction, so it could be with another person, it could be with another country, now of course a company to company level, if I have a business to business, and then next level is a country to another country. So two countries have a mutual contract, MOU, they sign it, and after that they sign their contracts. So all these, awfu bil uqud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, fulfill all of your uqud, all of your agreements and all of your covenants. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about some other important aspects in next ayah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tuhillu sha'ir Allah. So what does it mean? That you do not go against the sha'ir, symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not break the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made and put in place. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it is a sha'ir. Sha'ir is a plural, is a singular is sha'ira. So when you look at this, then you have to look into some other signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not to disrespect the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you go to Kaaba al-Musharrafa, and we all go, we cannot do hunting, we cannot do many other things in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if we do so, we are breaking the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in place. Nowadays we attribute like a minaret or a dome with the masjid that is related with masjid, alright? Though in reality, in original form, it has nothing to do with it, but it is to beautify. And whenever we see a minaret, we assume that this is going to be a masjid. Whenever we see a dome on a building, it seems like it is going to be a masjid. So this is like an example. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about one should obey the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third thing is, one should not exceed the limits and boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one is told not to commit fornication, so one should abstain from it. So these are the lines, these are boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One is told not to drink wine, alcohol, one should stop right there. One should be, if it is gambling, one should stop right there. So all these are ahkam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that one should not go against these ahkam. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions few of the things that, as it also mentioned in Surah Al-Hajj, ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. Who is going to honor the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the signs and symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course, only those people who have taqwa, who have piety in their hearts. So this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. Few of the ayat that were revealed regarding this ayah, وَلَا الشَّهْرَ الْحَرَامِ وَلَا الْهَدْيِ وَلَا الْقَلَائِدِ وَلَا آمِينَ الْبَيْتِ الْحَرَامِ. So وَلَا الشَّهْرَ الْحَرَامِ, 4 sacred months that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, which is Rajab, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and these are the months, 4 consecutive, 1 in the middle, and then 3 consecutively, Muharram. So these are the 4 sacred months in which one should not, and one is not permitted to engage in a war, until it is put on you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about another incident that happened when Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had a dream, when he was in Madinatul Munawwara, and he had a dream, and then he told his companions radiallahu anhum ajma'een, and they all stood up and gathered together, and then they wanted to go for Umrah. And then at the point of Hudaybiyah, they were stopped by the mushrikeen in Makkah, and then that's where they had to sacrifice their animals, and then they had to shave their head, of course, first, and then after that they had to sacrifice their animals. Of course, Sahaba were very displeased. They were not happy with that incident, the way mushrikeen had returned them back to Madinatul Munawwara. But at the same time, there was a person who came to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam right before this incident, and his name was Hatim bin Hind. So he was a person who was a very great merchant. He was a very rich man. So he had his stuff in the outskirts. He left that stuff outside of the city of Madinah Munawwara, and he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to meet him, to greet him. And then, presumably he was saying that I believe in you. And then on his way back, when he was leaving, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when he came to me, he was a hypocrite, but when he left as a traitor. What he did basically when he was leaving the outskirts of Madinatul Munawwara, what he did, he took the animals of Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in. Probably there were camels, goats and sheep, all that stuff. So he also took that. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Sahaba Karam radiallahu ta'ala anhum, they spotted him again. The next year they were doing the qada of Umrah. So they saw him, a person is saying, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, and Sahaba looked at that person, and it was same person, Hatim bin Hind, and he had the same animals of Sahaba Karam radiallahu ta'ala anhum. So Sahaba radiallahu anhu said, we are going to take these animals away from him because they are our animals. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told them not to. Why? Because these animals, he put a tag on those animals that they are the animals of sacrifice. So that's why it was وَلَا تُحِلُّوا شَعِيرَ اللَّهِ. Now it has become a sign or symbol of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even pre-Islamic era people, whatever was designated for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for Hajj, so they would abstain, they would not use it for any other purpose but for sacrifice. So this was the incident that لَا تُحِلُّوا شَعِيرَ اللَّهِ, that one should not break or disobey the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the next incident that happened, it is also during the time of conquest of Makkah al-Mukarram. So when in 8th after Hijrah, when Sahaba Karam radiyallahu ta'ala anhum ajma'in, so they all gathered together, they all came, of course, they entered into Makkah al-Mukarramah, and then they were performing Umrah of House of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when they were doing it, and then they saw mushrikeen in Makkah also, or doing Tawaf of Kaaba, but they were naked, they did not have clothes on them. So Sahaba said, well, they did not let us to do Hajj, did not let us to perform Umrah in 6th after Hijrah. So while we were true believers and we had more right to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than them, and they are mushrikeen in Makkah, so why should we allow them to perform Umrah or Tawaf of Kaaba at the same time? So at that time Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also told them, لا تحلوا شعائر الله, do not go against the sha'air of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let them don't have fight in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let them do what they are doing. It is to respect the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ta'zeem of sha'air Allah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a few incidents of Bahima. Bahima means, it's from Mubham. Mubham means something which is ambiguous, something that we don't understand, and it is usually attributed towards animals, because animals, we can't talk to animals. So if there is any animal, let's say there is a dog, there is basically it's about domesticated animals. Let's get it straight. So if it is a domesticated animal, suppose it is a cow, it is a camel, it is something, that we have at home, goat or sheep. So when we are trying to talk to that animal, of course, it's not going to talk back to us like the way we talk to one another. Of course, it will give a gesture or do some other stuff. So that's how it is. So this is Bahima. And another name that is also used is An'am. An'am is also used for cattle. An'am is from Ni'ma. Ni'am. And Ni'am is also means a domesticated animal. And these are different types of domesticated animals. It could be camel, it could be goat, sheep, buffalo, all these animals that we have. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the animals. إِنَّ حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. So it's a long ayah. And if you look at the surah, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, of course, and you look at the ayah number 3. So this ayah talks about animals that are permissible to eat and animals that you should not and must not eat. And that is an animal that has already died, you cannot eat it, of course. Animal's blood that is gushing out of the body, you cannot use and utilize and drink it or cook it. And the swine, pig, that none of us can eat it, it's haram. Any animal that is sacrificed other than the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if it is attributed to any person, if it is attributed to any entity, any saint, or any idol, so it is not permissible. We cannot eat that animal. Again, any animal that has been suffocated to death, we cannot eat it. It's not permissible to eat. Any animal that has been stricken hard, like there was an animal, it was grazing, and all of a sudden a rock comes in and hits it, and the animal dies. So you can't eat it. It died before you sacrifice it. Of course, has to have final breath in it before you sacrifice it or slaughter it. Any animal that falls from any animal that falls from a mountain, you can't eat it if it died before you cut it. And any animal that has been struck, like nowadays, you're driving and all of a sudden you hit the deer, God forbid, and then deer dies on the spot, and if you did not cut it, slaughter it properly, and of course it is not permissible to eat. Any animal that has been eaten up by beasts, we cannot use and utilize it. The next ayah that we talk about, it's very, of course, time is very short and we can't go over everything, but the next ayah that talks about is a very important aspect. The aspect is about اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. So an ayah that was revealed on the 10th of Hijrah, or on the Yawm al-Arafah, the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, in 10th Hijrah, beautiful day. The leader of the days, or Sayyid al-Ayyam of the entire year, and Sayyid al-Ayyam of the week, that is Friday, and the time was between Salat al-Asr and Salat al-Maghrib, and this ayah was revealed upon Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, because that was his final Hajj, first and final Hajj, and after that, roughly he lived for about 80 plus days, and then he departed from the face of this dunya. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, he says that these are the ayahs that tell people that you should come towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, respect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and honor the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of this is happening. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, because people were living in Madinah al-Munawwara, as I said earlier, now the community is getting bigger. So intra-cultural marriages, all right? So people who are Muslims, they are marrying women of the book, all right? And then people were eating also meat or food of the people of the book as well. So some narrations or some ayat were revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because at that time there were those people who were truly believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu, and then they had it was permissible to eat the meat of the Ahl al-Kitab and to marry those women of the Ahl al-Kitab as well. And of course, as long as they are not associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're not committing shirk, it is permissible to eat meat as well as to marry people of the book, women especially. Of course, a Muslim woman cannot marry a person of the book. So this is like a bit complicated issue as well. People have to understand this. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, because the Mufassirin and Muhaddiseen and Fuqaha also have said, when a Muslim man, if he wants to marry a woman from a people of the book, then it is permissible to marry it. But if it is not permissible for a Muslim woman to marry a person, a male person, of course, of the people of the book. So if the people, as long as they obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as long as they obey the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or obey Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, their true teachings, and of course there are tahrifat, there are fabrications in those books. So one has to be very cautious, one has to look very deep. People do get married at very young age, because they're in their 20s, their 30s, and they're excited about getting married, but they don't see the results that are yet to come, which will happen about the age of 40 or 45, when their kids, they start growing up 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and then they can't decide where are they going to go, whether they're going to masjid or they're going to go to a church, they're going to go to a masjid or they're going to go to a synagogue, and they're going to go to Islamic school or they're going to go to a public school, and all these things, they start happening, and then family get divided. So one has to be very, very cautious when they are thinking of getting married with the people of the book. Alright, inshallah. So the next few ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam and his people, when he was told and commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go back to Syria all day, and Baitul Maqdis or Muqaddas, Jerusalem, which we call today. So they were told to go, and then he left his country. Of course, they left from Egypt. So when they were going there, and where they by what you call a Nahr. Nahr is a lake or a water river. So he was by it, and then he crossed it by, it was close to Urdun, Jordan, current day Jordan, and then he reached a city that is called as Ariha, and then he asked his people, because the people or the tribes that he had out of all these people, he chose 12 people, and then he said to them, you need to go to Baitul Maqdis or Baitul Muqaddas and then see how the people are doing there. So I want you to go there and see what are the ahwal, what are the things that are happening, and then come back and tell me. So the leaders, they went there and they saw like they're gigantic people, they're strong people. They came back to Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu, they said, man, oh Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu, they are very strong people, they're really mighty people. There's no way we can conquer this area or this place. So when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu heard this, he told them not to tell anybody else. But some of the people, they spread the news amongst the people that Musa is preparing us to fight against these people, and they are qawman jabbarin. There's no way we can fight these people. وَإِنَّا لَن نَدْخُلَهَا حَتَّى يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا فَإِنْ يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا فَإِنَّا دَاخِلُونَ. So Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam telling them to be a true believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you, but they said, no way, we are not going. And then finally they said, فَذَبْ أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ فَقَاتِلَ. You, O Musa alayhi salam, go and fight, you and your Lord, fight those strong men, women of Baitul Maqdis or Jerusalem, and once you win, once you conquer, that's when we will come to that place or to that city. So فَذْهَبْ أَنْتَ وَرَبُّكَ فَقَاتِلَ إِنَّا هَا هُنَا قَاعِدُونَ. So once you are doing it, then we will come to you. So when this happened, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was not happy with the people of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. قال ربي إني لا أملك قال فإنها محرمة عليهم 40 سنة يتيهون في الأرض فلا تأس على القوم الفاسقين. So these people who did not obey Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, they lived there for 40 years before they entered or they got into Jerusalem or Baitul Maqdis at that period of time. So what was it? It was a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them. And at the same time, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu also, he died in that valley, in that area. So this is something that we learn from him. Next ayahs are about Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam and his two sons. وَاتْلُ عَلَيْهِمْ نَبَأَ ابْنَيْ آدَمَ بِالْحَقِّ. So two of his sons, he would have two children, twins in the morning, two in the evening. And those who were born in the morning, the boy would get married to the girl in the evening that was born in the evening. And same thing, that whoever is born, like they will marry the opposite gender of the morning and evening. But incident that happened in this, that Qabil was the older, and then he had his twin sister, and then she was, she was beautiful. His sister was beautiful, and the other son was Habil or Cain, and Cain and Abel, two sons. Qabil is Cain, Habil is Abel. So there are two sons of Sayyidina Nuh Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. When the time came for nikah, the young one said, "No, I will not marry. I will go the opposite way." All right. So he would not wanted to marry the sister of his brother, but he wanted to marry the one that was born with him. So that was the entire issue, that Habil and Qabil, they had a disagreement. Sayyidina Adam alayhi told them that, okay, what you need to do is sacrifice, you sacrifice this, you sacrifice this. When the fire is going to come from the heaven, it will be a sign that your sacrifice is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happened, the sacrifice of Qabil was accepted and the sacrifice of Habil was not accepted, and that made him mad, and then he took the life of his brother. And now from now till the day of judgment, he's going to get the sin of killing on the face of this earth. So I think I should finish up. So one last thing I just want to mention. It is about the internal affairs of Madinatul Munawwara now, because Muslim country or ruling is expanding in the local community. Now is the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands that anybody who's causing mischief on earth, there's a punishment for that person. And يُقَتَّلُوا يُصَلَّبُوا وَتُقَطَّعَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلُهُم مِّنْ خِلَافٍ, to kill him, to crucify that person, or to kill opposite limbs of that person, or put that person into exile. So it is, and also punishment came for as-sariqatu was-sariqa, one who is stealing, male or female. So of course same ruling is going to apply. But as long as this is just to bring peace in the community, in the society, so that people should stop doing this. There's hudud, there's qisas, and there's ta'zira. Okay, so hudud is something that is the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One cannot break it. Let's say suppose somebody is committing fornication or somebody is stealing. So it is hudud. Hudud will be applied to that person. The incident that happened in Madinatul Munawwara, Ka'b bin Ashraf and some other people in the community, they brought a case to Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called upon their big leader Ibn Surya, who was a really big scholar, and then he asked them, what is the punishment of a person who commits a zina, fornication? So he said, it's the same thing as in the Quran, it is to do rajm, or to do that thing, or to stone to death that person. So when it was asked to the people, and then they said, we are not going to let this happen because one of the prince of those people, he committed fornication but was not punished. So why the poor have to suffer this punishment? So this is the incident that is mentioned, and that's why there are some hudud and qisas are mentioned. The rest is a lot of detail. There is a lot of other detail. So that is going to be about, and qisas is also anyone who takes the life of any other person, and the qisas is going to be applied to that person. That either the three types of things that we mentioned the other day, whether it be diyat, whether it be money, that the blood money is given, whether it be person to person, or forgiveness. So all these things are to happen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions about the act of the people of the book, especially the Rabbaniyin, the rabbis or the people of the book who were the alim and scholars, and then they fabricated the books of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It applies to all, whether it be Torah, Zabur, Injil, Quran. So all the books, heavenly books, if people are going to add something to it, they will be punished and gripped by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They can't make anything halal and they can't make anything haram. Anything that has been made halal is by Allah. Anything that is made haram, it is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one has to look into it. And then da'wah or invitation to people of the book that they should come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think this is, and the last part is about the people of the book, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, how people got into Trinity. They made three gods, Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, his mother, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So many things have happened, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. and then do this. And towards the end of the surah as well, some of the miracles of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and then prohibition of wine, gambling, and all these sorts of actions. And then at the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, his conversation on the Day of Judgment, that he says, I never asked the people to worship me or obey me, but I asked them to obey me and obey you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I never asked them, I died, and after that, or I was raised up by you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and these people committed these actions and deeds. So this is something about Sayyidina Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive all of us, forgive our shortcomings, Amin Ya Rabbil Alameen. Accept our reading, recitation, our fast, our charity, any act of righteousness that we have done to Allah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure those brothers and sisters who are going through any illness, any sickness, Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive those men and women who have passed away, Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, protect our iman, and protect all of us from this COVID-19, Ameen Ya Rabbil Alameen. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. أفطر عندكم الصائمون وأكل طعامكم الأبرار وسلت عليكم الملائكة. اللهم لك صمت وبك آمنت وعليك توكلت وعلى رزقك أفطرت. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم أيد الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر المسلمين في كل مكان، اللهم ألف بين قلوب المؤمنين، اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.